Well, this weekend feels huge. Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity back for another match preview. I hope I find you well. I'm sure you're struggling slightly with the football results at the moment, but other than that, I hope life is treating you well. Well, this weekend feels huge. Welcome back, everyone. Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity for another match preview in arguably Norwich City's biggest game of the season. This is actually make or break, really, for both teams. It feels like. It probably isn't, but it feels like one of those games. A six-pointer, if you like, towards the top of the Championship table. It's, of course, Sheffield United, who we've struggled against in recent seasons. Always seem to get the better of us, particularly away from home, Sheffield United. So a good opportunity to try and put some of those bad times to bed. The incredible thing about this game is going into it, certainly a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at it and going, this is probably our toughest game of the season. I know Burnley are rated well and going nicely. There's something about Sheffield United, always in the Championship, even when they haven't been particularly strong in the division. They're just solid, aren't they? It's a difficult place to go, Bramall Lane. I've been there a couple of times. It gets so noisy in there. One of those really old school grounds. So it's a difficult place to go, but actually they're struggling as much as we are. They haven't won in 5. They lost their last game to Coventry 1-0. They've been beaten by Stoke 3-1 in recent weeks. They've also been beaten by QPR. They came from 3-1 down against Blackpool to draw 3-3, and they could only manage a draw against Birmingham. So 2 draws out of their last 5 and 3 defeats. I was feeling slightly controversial, maybe the word is, on Twitter the other night. There was part truth in it and part curiosity and part just wanting to see what the reaction was. How naughty. But when Sheffield United lost, I was like, I wonder what the sentiment is towards Paul Heckingbottom, because Norwich are a point behind them, have won the same amount of games. The table's looking very similar between Norwich City and Sheffield United, but I haven't heard too much about Paul Heckingbottom. Whereas Dean Smith, there is I would say a 95% split with the fan base that want him out. And actually, there was quite a bit of stick towards Paul Heckingbottom. I think my theory is that every single club up and down the country, whether you're Manchester City or you're Oldham, you always think that your club is, doing far worse than it actually is. I mean, Norwich are in poor recent form, but we're 6th in the Championship. And I think we'll go on some more unbeaten runs if the manager weren't to change. I don't know. I think you always get in that bubble, don't you, of your own club and your own problems. And sometimes you only have to look out in the same division as you, and there are other sides who should be performing well that maybe aren't. A big thank you to BetMate, as always, for sponsoring our preview content. If you don't know what BetMate is, where have you been? They are a fantasy football type app. You get points for goals, assists, tackles, interceptions. It's a really fun and interactive game. You pick a 7-a-side team and then you bet against your friends in a division. We are running a pot this weekend. It is £100 guaranteed payout, so someone will win, and a lot of you have won this season. The good thing about BetMate is you're betting against your friends rather than the bookmakers, so there is always a winner. The top of the table takes the pot. I think we're paying about 3 places as well. Entries £2. You can see the code on screen. You should also be able to find the pot on the home screen. If you use the code in the description, you get a £5 free bet when you use code TNC5 when prompted. Chris and my sides on screen now. I've literally beaten Chris in every single week, and I've actually won a couple of the leagues as well. So I'm really enjoying BetMate. If you ask Chris, he might have a slightly differing opinion based on his form, but really enjoyable. And would love for you to download the app. Always remember to gamble responsibly. You must be 18 or over to play. Dean Smith's press conference was an interesting one, wasn't it? And I think when a manager is under pressure, that their comments will always be looked into far deeper than they would be if we were, 10 unbeaten again, 9 unbeaten. There were a couple of comments that I disagreed with. I think he said that we deserved to beat Luton. I don't think we did. I think we maybe deserved something out of the Preston game. The performance in that game wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but I think it warranted a point. I still think it's slightly balmy that he's appealing the red card for Kenny McLean. I would be utterly gobsmacked if that got turned over. You just can't see the FA going against their referee. And to be fair to the referee, I think he's got it right. Kenny McLean has slapped someone, whether it was intentional or not, round the face. That usually means you get sent off. So that's a whole other issue, and it does raise problems, Kenny McLean being suspended, because it looks as if Sam Byram's touch will go with fitness. He said that Dimianulis isn't ready to start, but may have to if Sam Byram isn't ready to go and Kenny McLean's red card doesn't get overturned. So I think there's probably going to be change at left back. There will be change at left back. I actually do see Kenny McLean having to start this one from the off. I don't think he'll want to risk Sam Byram. Yes, he doesn't want to risk Dimianulis so fresh back either, but he may have to. Isaac Hayden's still not ready to start a competitive football match. Dean Smith's worried that he just simply hasn't played enough minutes, which is fair enough. He had no pre-season. I think he's played 50 minutes of football in the last year or something stupid. Sargent's back though, and that's exciting because he hobbled off, didn't he, on Tuesday night, and that was a real concern. That would have been the last thing we needed. I was tweeted a team from one of you, Chris Reynolds. I'll put it on screen now. I think this is probably, if Dean Smith had his full squad at his disposal, no injuries, nothing like that, this is probably being what he's looking for. Maybe the introduction of Gabriel Sauer in there somewhere, but I like this shape, and I think Josh Sargent deserves to play through the middle. That's the bit that really changes it for me. It's clear that Dean Smith wants to continue playing wingers, and I'm not overly sure about that, but if he is wanting to play this shape, then I'd say this is one of the stronger teams. Daniel Sinani is an intriguing case. I thought he was one of the most promising players at the start of the season. We've seen little to nothing since that stage. Marcelino Nunez the same. I think there was a hard, but I get it, right? He's an exciting Chilean, plucked him out from nowhere, looked really exciting first few games. I think he's been poor the last month or so. And Onel is, we all know what we're getting with Onel. We're getting a quick, aggressive, direct winger, which is brilliant and will get in fantastic opportunities. We also know what his end product is, and at times it leaves you wanting more. But having said all of that, I think he's offered more than all of our wingers combined this season, so he probably warrants a start. I hope, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I hope that Pukki's actually on the bench on Saturday. I think this game screams out for Josh Sargent. I think he's better with his back to goal. Pukki loves, and he's so good at it, running off the shoulder of defenders. It worked so beautifully with Emi Buendia, but we're just not playing that style anymore. And that worries me for Pukki, because he's not getting the same opportunities and the kind of chances that he did last season and seasons before. And I just think Josh, again, even against Luton, he just looks really, really up for it at the moment, Josh Sargent. I think he's probably got one eye on the World Cup and hoping he can make that America team. So that really excites me. The other player I want to see more from is Max Aarons, who I thought looked quite tired and fatigued on Tuesday. And in the last month or so, to be honest, like where we sit in the Barclay, we are right up against his kind of booming runs down the right, often in the second half when they're attacking the Barclay. And there were so many opportunities that a couple of seasons ago he would have just flown past the defender, and it just looked like he was sort of running through custard at stages, really sort of slow and a lack of confidence. And that's probably just down to sheer amount of games. The problem is we don't really have at the moment the opportunity to rest him, so I think he will obviously go with Max. Look, a lot of you, I've read the comments, I've seen the tweets, want Dean Smith out. And I get it, right? I do get it. Not the opinion I hold, but I understand why you would want that. Even if you do want that, please, let's just get behind Norwich City this weekend. We've seen with Stuart Webber before, he's sacked managers after wins. We really need to win this game, because you beat Sheffield United away from home. Not only is that a statement setter, it's a massive confidence boost. And it also really knocks one of your rivals for 6, because then they would have gone 6 games without a win and have lost at home to a side that have been really struggling recently. it would be deluded of me to say I'm confident. I'm not. I just really hope there's a performance there, and I really hope we go back to Norwich City of 6 weeks ago, where we were putting up 25 shots a game, because that was actually really exciting. I think a lot of people forget about that. Coventry at home. I know we lost against Hull and Cardiff away, but we had plenty of shots there. Sunderland away, we had a decent number of shots. There's been games where we've looked quite exciting going forward, and we haven't the last few. So I want that to return, and I want that to return quickly. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you, and safe trip if you are travelling up to Sheffield. I saw a good friend of mine in the pub last night who said he's having to get, I think, 4 trains to get there. So goodness only knows the other travel commitments of you guys following. So safe trip, and hopefully you'll come back with 3 points. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.